See that the I would say fear and discomfort is with those around him and not him.
Dedan Kimathi's trial was not fair at all.
Ukikuwa kama watoto wa Maumau, tulikuta wazazi ambao wako traumatized, wanafikiria kwani wazazi wetu waliishi kutuliza, kwani tulikosea sisi kuingia msituni kupigania nchi yetu kwa sababu hakuna mtu anatushughulikia, hakuna mashamba.
It is 6:30 in the morning. 21st of October 1956 is the year. Dedan Kimathi, a home guard employed by colonial government on a salary of 60 Kenya shillings per month, and who had been selected on a team of guards sent to capture Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi, saw a glimpse of what they had been searching for so many days in the forest. A man dressed in a leopard coat and hat, trying to cross a ditch. The guards ordered him to stop, but he started running. Dedan fired at him 2 times and missed as the man disappeared into the hills, a bundle of sugarcane on his back. He followed him and caught sight of him as he was attempting to cross a ditch. Then he shot. This time, he got him on the right thigh. I had shot him on his right thigh. He was wearing a leopard skin. His bundle of sugarcane was lying next to him. He was holding a panga in one hand. He studied the man, perplexed. Finally, he asked him in Gikuyu, "Who are you?" "Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi Washuri," he answered. Kimathi asked him, "Are you the one who shot me?" Dedan said, "Yes." "Niwega." "It's okay," Kimathi replied, surrendered to his fate and pain. And for shooting Kimathi, Dedan was awarded £150, which is equivalent to 23,000 Kenya shillings today. Another officer, Njugi Gatia, who assisted him in the operation, was awarded £75, which is around 11,000 Kenya shillings today. The total reward for the guards was £500. The remaining sum was divided among the team that was involved in the capture. After topping up his money with some savings from his salary, Dedan purchased a vehicle that he intended to use in public transport. But the interesting detail is that nobody ever boarded it except his family. In fact, it is said that at night, angry residents would scratch the vehicle using stones, writing the words "Muridhimo wa Kimathi," meaning Kimathi's shin, which referred to the part of Kimathi that was shot. He tried selling the vehicle, but no one was willing to buy Kimathi's shin. The vehicle ended up rusting in his compound. Dedan later opened a restaurant, and it faced the same fate. Residents would write some writings on the wall at night. He lived a shameful life, full of regrets, and the same fate befell his children, who found it hard to cope in school. He died in 1986. His fellow home guards combined funds and bought a lorry, and met the same fate. The first judgment of Dedan Kimathi's case was done in haste, and when he appealed, it was quickly dismissed. An execution report that is kept at Kenya Museum indicates that Kimathi was hanged on the February of 1957 at 6:30 in the morning. The report, signed by a medical doctor, indicates that he examined the body of the deceased and found life to be extinct. Death was caused by hanging, and it was instantaneous. The judgment report, also kept at the museum, indicates that Kimathi was in possession of a firearm, a .38 Webley Scott revolver, contrary to Regulation 8A1 of the Emergency Regulations 1953.
He was accused of having a revolver. By that time, he only had a machete or panga. Like somebody who had a sugarcane to sugarcane to, and use the panga to get, it down. And but now Dedan Kimathi's trial was not fair at all. It was more of a kangaroo court. Kangaroo in the sense, his was a political case. Remember, he was more of a politician, though Kimathi would not have accepted to be called a politician, although he was KAU branch chairman by 1950s, by 52. So his trial was supposed to be a political trial, like that of Nelson Mandela, whereby you don't hang a political prisoner. You could put him in jail or detention and then release him after you achieve what you want. Yes, but you see, they criminalized it.
But this is contrary to Dirango's report that when he shot Kimathi, he found him with only a panga and a bundle of sugarcane. There was no revolver. In her book, Kimathi's widow, the late Mukami, reveals that while in prison warders would come and tell her about the progress of the trial. They would say that Kimathi was likely to be convicted because everyone in the court except Kimathi was a colonialist or a colonial sympathizer. A day before execution, Mukami was taken to see his husband Kimathi. His hands were not tied. White had checked his finger, which had been previously severed with while chopping grass for cattle. That was a long time while he was living in Olkalau. They did this to confirm if they captured the right man. The British promised Kimathi wealth, life and acres of land if he disowned the Mau Mau. But even though this is all the Mau Mau had been fighting for, land and independence, Kimathi refused to take the offer because he had taken an oath. Kimathi had two regrets: that he would die before his children grow, and that he would not live long to see a black man raise a Kenyan flag high. Kimathi requested his wife not to let the name Kimathi Washuri die in case she remarried and had other children. Kimathi asked her to name the children after his name. And today, all the children she got after bear the name Kimathi. And on the following morning, the 18th of February 1957, Kimathi was hanged. It was such a psychological torture for her and the children, a psychological game that the colonial government loved to play on their victim. Mukami's last-born child, Evelyn Wanjugu, is the CEO of Dedan Kimathi Foundation.
So sisi tukikua kama watoto wa Mau Mau tulikuta wazazi ambao wako traumatized, wanafikiria kwani wazazi wetu waliishi kutuliza, kwani tulikosea sisi kuingia msituni kupigania nchi yetu kwa sababu hakuna mtu anatushughulikia, hakuna mashamba. So mamangu alikaa kituambia, tulipigana na kikombe, tulienda kucheza mpira lakini kikombe kikachukuliwa na wale ambao walikuwa wanatushangilia.
After independence, Mukami approached the first president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and requested for remains of her husband, but it never happened. Reasons behind that are not clear, but it is believed that the remains are at Kamiti Maximum Prison, where mass burials were done after execution of Kimathi along with other detainees. Kimathi did not just die and extinct, he left behind a cross-border inspiration for freedom fighters such as Omokonto Osuzwe in South Africa, a paramilitary wing on the African National Congress led by Nelson Mandela that was fighting the then government and the apartheid rule.
Who in 1990, all those years after the man was hanged, or Kenya got independence in 1963, that he made us, he pricked our consciences as a country and asked us, where is this hero who inspired Umkhonto we Sizwe in South Africa, made us fight apartheid? He gave us a way that it reaches a time, a turning point in the life of any human being when you refuse to be called a doormat.
I think that if Dedan Kimathi went to the Lancaster discussions, the issue of land would have been resolved differently because we would not have compromised, because the basis of the struggle was land. and for failing, for having been denied the opportunity to go and participate in those discussions, we ended up having a new colony instead of a colony. So he's the best.
Kimathi's family has been failed. Today, over 5 regimes are on power, and the remains have never been found.
It is simply courtesy of people's cries that you can see them occasionally mention names like Dedan Kimathi. But otherwise, in their heads, that's a monster they need to exorcise from their brains. So, Dedan Kimathi's family has been failed in every respect.
What most people don't know about Kimathi is that he was educated and a deeply spiritual man. Due to his literary skills, his main job was to be in charge of war council in Nairobi on matters of new recruits, firearms, clothing and medical supplies. Because of that, he wrote about the progress of the struggle. In his book, Dedan Kimathi Speaks, the writer and historian Nyeri says that from the time Kimathi was made leader of KLFA, that is Kenya Land Freedom Army, he made habit of writing down daily observations. He also filed all the communication he received and copies of letters and documents he wrote. The documents were stored in an underground pit in Nyandarua Forest in 1953, and guerrilla experts were appointed to manage it, led by General Omera. Unfortunately, Omera was captured in 1955, and after being tortured by the colonial government, he surrendered and revealed the documents to British Army. The documents were in full sack, written in Kikuyu, Swahili and English, and were translated and collated into volumes of 30 pages each, and were titled Dedan Kimathi Papers. The documents were sent to Colonial Office in London, and a copy was sent to Kenyan Colonial Archives in Nairobi. According to Nyeri, none of these documents have been made public to date. My name is Sam Kivuva.